Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. How are we doing? All right. We're really grateful to be here on such an extraordinary day. Thank you, Iowa, for what you've done with the weather. Amy and I got to start the day on a 5K pride run this morning. Recuperated and restored our strength. Those are my speaking notes, so forgive me. With some Casey's breakfast pizza, just to make sure that we were loud and strong for the rest of the day. But I want to tell you that I'm very grateful to be here with you. I'm very grateful to be able to run to serve you as president, and I'm very grateful to run with some extraordinary candidates that you're going to hear from today. I think following me is Senator Bernie Sanders. We just saw Senator Cory Booker crossing the street. We want to say thanks to Senator Cory Booker, and I believe that Mayor Pete Buttigieg just preceded us in talking. I want to thank Pete for his service and all of those who are running right now. Let's make this commitment to one another at this moment. Whoever the next nominee is for our party, every single one of us will do all we can to make sure that she or he is successful in defeating Donald Trump. And even more successful in bringing this great country together again in January of 2021. Iowa, happy Pride, and congratulations on 10 years of marriage equality. I know it is the people that are here right now that made that happen. Every significant civil rights change that we have seen in this country has not been a product of enlightened leaders or members of the Supreme Court or elected officials. It has been purchased by the service and the sacrifice of the struggle of those who made it happen. As any Texan is, I'm extraordinarily proud of the fact that Lyndon B. Johnson was a president who signed into law the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. But though he deserves some credit, the principal credit is owed to the Freedom Riders who took their lives into their hands on those Greyhound buses in the Deep South, to those brave Americans who forced the integration of places of public accommodation, and those who laid down their lives, paid the ultimate price to strengthen this democracy and ensure that this country fulfills its true promise. Likewise, marriage equality in Iowa and marriage equality in the United States, the credit should not be given principally to those Supreme Court justices who made those decisions, but to every single person who for decades has been marching and struggling and fighting for their full civil rights in this country. And so I want to thank you for that. So when we get change in this country, it is when power flows up from people. And we're going to need more of that because there is no inertia to the progress and the change that we want to see in this country. Iowa is a case study in this, despite the fact that you led the Midwest and much of the country in marriage equality. Today in Iowa, conversion therapy is still legal. Today in Iowa, your governor signed a bill into law that prevents our fellow Americans here in Iowa who are Medicaid beneficiaries from being able to have reassignment surgery. And in my home state of Texas, it is legal to fire you based on your sexual orientation. In my home state of Texas, though there were 30,000 kids in the foster care system, and Child Protective Services was so understaffed and underfunded that those kids were sleeping in the offices, atop and underneath the desks. By law in Texas, you can still be too gay to be able to adopt one of those kids into your loving home. And then we have this President of the United States who used fear to keep us apart, to make us afraid, and to make some of our fellow Americans angry, to prevent us from coming together to make the change that we still need. Let me tell you the consequences of his rhetoric. It doesn't just offend our sensibilities or our ears, It fundamentally changes who we are as a country, our practices and our policies. You do not get kids in cages at the border until you've had a president who describes some human beings as animals or an infestation. You do not get the mosque in Victoria, Texas, burned down to the ground until you have a president who has tried to ban all Muslim travel to the United States of America. You do not see a rise in white nationalist terrorism in this country until you have a president who describes the Klan, white supremacists, and neo-Nazis as very fine people. And you do not have an epidemic of violence against transgender Americans until you have a president who dishonors the service of transgender Americans with his transgender troop ban. He has invited the violence and the intolerance and the hatred that will define this country forever after unless each and every single one of us stand up against it. That's why, as president, I will make sure that I sign into law the Equality Act to make sure that no state can take away the civil rights of any American. Y además, I will make sure that this country does not just tolerate or respect our differences, but that we fully embrace them as the foundation to our strength and our success and our security. That's who we should be as the United States of America. That's the inspiration that I take from you, and I'm so grateful and honored and lucky to be running to serve you as President of the United States. Thank you all very much.